Toontown is the 8th land in Disneyland, and it's right up here. Of the 5 original lands, only Fantasyland was really built for small children. It's here, it's based on a world of fantasy, and it's got a lot of little kid rides like Dumbo, the Carousel, Storybook Land, boats, and the Casey Jr. Circus Train, and Teacups. It's a Small World, kid rides. And then the 6th land was New Orleans Square, which is notoriously for adults, and Critter Country, mostly adults. So at that point, building the 8th land, one that was just for kids, seemed like a great idea. And it was. And it was in 1993 that Toontown opened for kids. The story of Toontown is that there was a little suburb housing development where cartoons lived, and Mickey Mouse, like in the 30s, showed Walt Disney what a great sunny place in California this land was, and prompted Walt Disney to build Disneyland here, pretty close to his own house. So Mickey Mouse had this commute where he went from his house and came into Disneyland every day to work, and then he went home. It was really nice. He probably didn't even have to drive to work. So then after 50 years of that, he decided, hey, why don't we bust through the berm here, build a tunnel, and we'll be able to get to work faster, and everybody will get to see where we live and enjoy our house and our neighborhood. And they probably did like a land swap deal for the building the roller coaster. Like, you build a roller coaster in our neighborhood, we open the wall, we get to enjoy the roller coaster, something like that. All right, so this is Toontown right up there. All right, here's a bigger map of Toontown, and as you can see, it's a dead end. There's one way in through this tunnel, and you walk up this ramp and emerge out onto this neighborhood of homes and attractions, which is Toontown. And before you walk through this tunnel, it's likely you've never been in an environment like this before in your life, because every building is bulging and warped and cartoonish, and doesn't look like a normal building. None of the trees look normal. Everything is cartoonish, which must have been incredibly expensive, but it's also a really amazing experience. Like, if you've never been here before, you've probably never been in a place like this before. Like, they don't recreate this for a Chuck E. Cheese or anything. This is the only place where you can see buildings like this that are just built wrong. And it looks amazing. It's quite an experience. It's also largely kid-proof. The only part of Toontown that's not really under the berm is the railroad station. This one is deemed the Toontown Railroad Station because it is the perfect drop-off point to get to Toontown. And Toontown's on the other side of the berm for the railroad, so I don't know, I guess it's close enough. And Fantasyland didn't need any more attractions, that's for sure. So this tunnel tends to be a stroller parking spot for all of the zillions of kids that come here with their parents, young children. And the basic layout is a plaza in the middle with trolley tracks and these 2 fountains. And then it's surrounded by places on the outside. So it's really easy to navigate. It's a pretty small land, and everything is on the outside of this long plaza. That's Toontown. And I was saying before that the only way out is into Fantasyland. So that's the only exit, which is kind of nice if you have a kid and you're not really letting them run wild, but giving them some freedom. It's comforting to know there's not some back exit where they might just exit out onto New Orleans Square or something. All right, so I'm going to go counterclockwise here and start with the e-ticket ride, Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin. Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin is named after a 1988 Robert Zemeckis film called Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and it's all about the plight of Roger Rabbit and his adventure trying to save his love interest, Jessica Rabbit, from the dangers of these three weasels. And he's also trying to prevent the town, Toontown, from being destroyed by this chemical dip. So the ride vehicle is a little taxi, and it is kind of like a mixture. It's designed to be a mix of a teacup from the Mad Tea Party that spins, spinning teacup, and a car from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. So it's like a combination of those two. And so you might notice that it's kind of similar to Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters, where you're in a car that's generally going one way, but then you can turn right and left. But this one's like 4 times faster than that. So you're really zooming through and spinning to your heart's content. So that's a great ride. It is, I think it's about 3 minutes, and I don't think that there's a height requirement on that. Like almost any ride at Disneyland, especially one built after 1960, the ride has a long line, and it has an engaging line. So while you're standing in line, you're not just holding 2 chains and walking forward. You're kind of being entertained through a series of dioramas or decorated rooms where you can puzzle stuff out. There's things to look at. They're building the story of what you're going to encounter in the line, or in the ride. So unfortunately, it is one room after another, and it's enclosed in such a way, it's not claustrophobic like you're in regular rooms like a living room and a garage, but it just keeps going and going, and it's dark and you're surrounded by people, but you never get a sense of how long it's going to be. And once you hit about the 7th room, you realize, oh, there's like 300 people in front of me in this line, but you don't know the route and you never get a glimpse of them. Like some of the best lines, I'll take Space Mountain's line. Eventually you open up into a big cavernous room where you can see the pathway ahead. You can see that there's a ramp and there's 300 people on that ramp, but you know your progress and you can take solace in that. And it's not disheartening when you go into the next room and it's like another room. And the whole time, at least for me, I'm thinking, when do I get to get on the ride? Because I've been here for 40 minutes. So it's a bummer. It's too enclosed, I think, which I don't think you'd ever even think would be a problem until you've been in line for Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin. So continuing clockwise, this part of town here, there is an island of building here under the Gag Factory. So this is a store, and this is the gag part of town, where there will be like funny little gags, like a building with a doorknob that when you pull the doorknob, it shocks you, or a doorbell, when you press the doorbell, you hear a funny story, or some rude sound, or something unexpected happens. So it's not technologically amazing, but it is exactly like it would be like living in a cartoon. So there's a bunch of stuff here. So you can spend an hour playing with this stuff here outside of the Gag Factory. It's cool, especially for small children, because it's all them. They get to decide what to do. And of course, it's all harmless and fun. So continuing up, there's another store here, the souvenir shop, the Toontown 5 and Dime. And then around this gazebo here, you can see that there are a bunch of food stalls. Let me go back and hit Gag Factory there, and 5 and Dime. That's the shopping district, I guess. And then up top here is Clarabelle's Frozen Yogurt. So that is a treat shop. And then Daisy's Diner, I'm suspecting has regular food, but probably is geared more towards children's meals. And then Pluto's Hot Dog sells hot dogs. Pluto's Dog House, sells hot dogs. And then down here is Tune Up Treats. So you have a bunch of food options, and you're probably going to sit at one of these tables and eat here. And at the edge of Tune Up Treats is a gas station that has restrooms here. So these are the restrooms inside Toontown. The west side of Mickey's Toontown is packed with attractions. Starting up here at the top, I've got Minnie's house. This is an interactive walkthrough building where you have a chance to meet Minnie Mouse. You walk through her kitchen and her dining room and other rooms before you get to the final room where you meet her. I think they actually close the building, the house, if she's not there to meet. And then right next door is Mickey's house and Meet Mickey. So same thing, interactive walkthrough building where you go through different rooms and see what it's like living as Mickey Mouse, and you get to peek in his fridge and that kind of thing. It's filled with interactive elements also. And the whole thing is a line, and you walk through behind other people waiting to get to see Mickey at the end in Mickey's movie barn. So you will get to meet Mickey Mouse at the end, but it can take a long time. And the house has the same interactive line problem that Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin has, in that it's one room after another, and you cannot believe how many rooms there are before you get to see Mickey, and you're just ready to see Mickey Mouse at the end. Maybe this is just me, but for me it was an exercise in patience to get to the end. All right, so next is Chip 'n Dale's Treehouse. This is a playhouse, a playground that is based on a treehouse. And if you were thinking that there weren't enough stairs in Disneyland, this is the place. You get lots of stairs here, and you can let kids run wild. It's not too complex up there. It's walking up and walking down a few different ways. And you get a great view from the treehouse up there. And it's cool. It's definitely worth doing, especially if you have little kids. So continuing on is another e-ticket ride, which is Gadget's Go Coaster here. This is the roller coaster in Toontown. And it is quaint. It's like a junior roller coaster, I think it has been called, where there's no loops, and it's quick, and there's hills and loops, and but it's not an amazing thrill ride if you're over 15. And so it's built as if this chipmunk Gadget had built it, and it's built out of like acorns and tree leaves and buttons, and the appearance is though you've been shrunk down to ride this thing. So there's a lot of off-sized, unusually sized elements to it. So it gives you the impression that you've been shrunk down, like the size of a fairy or a chipmunk to ride. This might give you the impression that the feeling that it's an older roller coaster, but it's actually the newest roller coaster to be built in Disneyland in '93. All right, next up is another playground, which is Donald's boat here. So you can climb aboard that and peek around. It's got a lot of little interesting spots and pieces. Another place where you can let a kid just run wild. And then the last attraction here is Goofy's Playhouse. That's got interactive elements as well, and different rooms to see in his house, and a lot of ornamentation and decoration to check out. That used to be a bounce house, so like the whole thing used to have a bouncy interior, but I think they figured out that that's really not sustainable for a year-round amusement park. The downside of Toontown is, there's two. One is the line situation, the interactive line situation at Roger Rabbit and at Mickey's house, where you're waiting in a long line and you can't tell how long the line is. You have no idea that there's 300 people ahead of you, and that is not my jam at all. That's a frustrating experience for me. Maybe for you, it's not. And another downside is that some things are going away. Nothing new is being added to Toontown, but like the trolley doesn't work anymore, and the acorn ball crawl is gone from the treehouse. But I don't think those are major problems. They're probably an improvement on the park overall. The great thing about Toontown is that it gave Disney engineers the confidence to build a town that's just one more step removed from reality, where these aren't regular buildings at all. The lampposts aren't regular. The trees aren't regular. Everything is designed and built from scratch and made to make you feel a certain way while you're there. And I think building this project gave them the confidence to go ahead and make Galaxy's Edge, which is a even one more step removed from reality environment, where you go in and you really feel like you're in another place. So that was, Toontown was a step towards that. So for that reason, I think it's amazing. And it's a terrific place all by itself for parents with young children at Disneyland. Show me the front of the fist.